I've done residencies all over the world, but I've never been able to have a residency where a new tool that opened up a whole new chapter in my art was made possible.
CAST, I think of us as a kind of catalytic converter for the arts here. We've been able to support many things that I think would have been seemingly unrealistic. And to me, this was a perfect example of what this is all about.
When we started working with Janet Eckelman, we started from the question of how her studio designs sculptures. Architectural software tools are very powerful at representing the world, but they're mostly meant for rigid materials like concrete, steel, wood, that most of the world is currently built with.
Before, I would draw out the tensioned geometry I wanted. I'd send it off to an engineer, and a week or two would go by, I'd get back a version. That was often very different from my original artistic design.
Whenever you're finding something that's in equilibrium, you're just trying to balance the force of gravity with all of the tension that's pulling on the anchor points. You can imagine that, if you adjust the length of one little string or you change the load on one place in your physical model, everything else also needs to be updated in the whole system. This becomes like a very slow, aggravating physical process.
And so we wanted to create a new software tool to support her creative artistic design process while also representing the physics and reality of these soft systems, so that as an artist, Janet is able to understand what the final piece will look like while she's designing it and really sculpt it with intent.
We were able to take a group of 20 students, give them all this tool, have them design their own tensile structures.
It's a simulation tool to really rapidly compute the physics of equilibrium of tensile systems, to find the shape of a soft system under forces. To do that in a fast and iterative way in response to a diverse set of artistic, architectural, and engineering goals.
And the students, within an afternoon, they had created designs, measured, cut, and laid out the entire structure. This was the first time my work was ever able to have this kind of complex geometric twist in the tensioning ropes. And we're bringing this into the museum to make visible human history and to think about our future.
We see the museum as something like a playground for ideas, as a living lab. The MIT Museum has had a wonderful collaboration with CAST, which is a program which allows faculty members at MIT to invite artists to collaborate with them.
The climate science teams at MIT, including Raffaele Ferrari and the En-ROADS modeling teams, they helped guide me through the history of the Earth's climate. And together we decided that the best starting point in time was the last ice age, about 22,000 years BCE, to really look at how the climate has changed, to look at the present moment, which in this sculpture is shown as this single yellow line pulled in tension. But it's not data visualization. This is an artwork to look at different possible futures, possible trajectories. We often feel overwhelmed by the news about the climate. And part of the goal of this piece is to give us a moment of quiet. My late partner, David Feldman, was part of this residency when we started 3 years ago. And my experience of our culture is that we run away from grief. And what I've been learning through this process is that by coming to terms and feeling that pain, it actually liberates us to have our power and agency to shape the future.
I don't know why, when I walked in, it was very striking. And then reading through this, the fragility, but also the strength of the climate.
The more you look at it, the more you see. There's like netting with the netting. Kind of made me think of a cocoon at the beginning when I first looked at it, but then it also made me think of like a safety net.
When you put incredibly visionary, creative people together into a room from different disciplines, that inspires questioning choices, decisions, perspectives, and arriving at potentially a very different but a much enhanced and strengthened outcome.
It's really about overlap, shared understanding, shared communication, and really bringing each other into each other's worlds in deep ways.
I think one of the things Caitlin and I have discovered we share is this devotion and dedication to finding the lightest footprint on the earth. And the process of this residency and research collaboration is really the way we want to live in the world.